county was 400 scale, and Chapel Hill Township 200 and 100, and we thought that was absolutely wonderful. Well, these vendors often provided teaching in our schools. Do they still do that? And they provided helpful suggestions on how you could explain something to your county administrator and other things. They were very helpful. There were only a few vendors. Then in the mid-80s towards 90s, a plethora of vendors of various sizes and shapes. And some of us got the wrong shape and had a miserable experience with a vendor, and others of us sailed through. But the process of doing that was only preparation for the nightmare that came of the digital world. So you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on maps. You're just thinking about this in about 1985 or so, and you still don't like the hardware and software you see, so you guess that you'll wait. But wait for what? Wait a minute. They drew these parcels on the orthophotos. Do they really match that well? What are you going to do when you go digital? Are you going to digitize those perfect lines, right? Or are you going to digitize what the map says? I mean, your deed says, or the plat says. And there was an awakening. I'm not sure you had. The awakening of mapping of, are we going to have maps that look good? Or are we going to have maps that are accurate? Because overlaps, underlaps, the whole business, that's everywhere. The more planning you had and development in a county, the more it began to get more accurate. And lines matched. Because the developers had to deal with the messes that were there, the gaps and the overlaps. But are you going to launch $300,000-$400,000 to basically end up again with a tax map? Well, as you know, later came options. You could eventually, in the digital world, have the real world with all of its gaps and its overlaps. But you could also display them as a nice looking map without those things. And only when it got down to difficulties and to people's challenging each other, then you have to decide whether you can support them and show them, well, yes, but here is actually how your property lies. Whoops! Surveyors. Several times in the development of mapping in North Carolina, as we developed the standards for accuracy, as we developed the training to map accurately, by going to school and getting certified and so on, and teaching our mappers how to do the best product they can, was the arched eyebrow of the surveyor. Oh, what do you people think you do? You know, and I did, of course. We had attorneys that said, could I use your map for my deed? And we had, I hope my staff will support, we had a religious commitment to saying nothing that implied that we were surveyors. Although Michael hired himself on as a chief map surveyor. We won't talk about that. But anyway, so our relationship in developing our mapping started out with problems with surveyors. They supported and came to our mapping school and presented, but they had problems with us and they were worried about us. And now, as I understand it, they want us to become part of the organization and to be partners with them. I think that's great. But we always are careful never to imply, when we cheered about our mapping accuracy, that we would ever imply that we were up to surveying standards. But anyway, we still plowed ahead, we still trained you and encouraged you to do the most accurate maps that you could, and we then marched into the world of digital mapping and the computerized mapping, GIS. And that brought whole new issues. We began, all my fault, we began with a couple of workstations. My workstation was 194,000. And as my staff knows, I couldn't even do anything with it. You know, we had ESRI, which was this vast toolbox of stuff. And how you put that stuff together and do it requires a application developer. That's where Chris came in. And of course now with object-oriented and the digital qualities, others for applications, it's a lot better and a lot easier now. What I want you to be aware of is the world we came from and the choices that were made and the direction we tried to go in order to have mapping contribute to the resources of their local government, which we've done. And although we have to sometimes bring planning, kicking and screaming into what we're trying to do, and other agencies, we have done pretty well. Don't get all the money we want, may never. We like to do a lot more than we're doing, but the commitment that was established and the reason we created this organization and the way we marched forward was to create standards based on accuracy and to provide a product that was useful to our citizens. And I'm proud to have participated in all of that, and I'm sure you are too. A great privilege for me to be here today, and I'm sorry I didn't bring my ukulele. I have about 4 or 5 songs I could have sang. But, you know.
In the bathrobe.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for listening.